Hi, my name is Trisha Schuver. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend this session today. I hope you find it valuable. So I have been with Daktronics for almost 20 years now, working with our content and marketing teams. Before I get into the presentation any further, I did want to just take a minute to share a little bit more about myself. So I remember at a very young age telling my parents that when I grew up, I either wanted to get a job designing CD covers for bands or sitting on the sideline at an NBA or NFL game like the photographers I had been seeing on TV. Even though I have never actually done either of those things professionally, I'm still pretty excited about where I ended up. I'm not designing CD covers, but I have had the opportunity to work with venues and teams to design content and production for their LED displays. I'm also not on the sideline taking pictures, but I can't complain about all of the amazing things that I have been able to experience through my position at Daktronics in the sports industry over the years. I've had the honor of working with some of the most talented and creative people around the globe in the live entertainment and sports industry, and I hope I can take some of what I've learned and share that with you today. So, when I was in school, I had a professor that always told us how important first impressions were and how important it was to present ourselves as well as our work. He told us we needed to keep in mind everything from our hair to our feet, even the pens that we used. At that time, I didn't fully appreciate or even really understand that message, and honestly, thought it was a little bit cliche. But over time, I've really come to realize what he was trying to teach us and how important all things visual really are. I like this graphic because I think it helps to really reinforce that message. Studies have found that 90% of information is transmitted to your brain visually. 70% of your sensory receptors are in your eyes, and 40% of people respond better to visuals. I've always had a passion for art, design, and anything visual. So, because of this, I've really come to enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to talk to people about the importance of visual experiences. Today, we're going to focus on what that means in terms of LED content and how, when done well, it can truly increase the return on investment of a display system. Here are 3 things I would recommend you think about when it comes to an effective content strategy: invite, engage, and inform. I truly believe that Apple understands this better than anyone. They have always started by identifying the experience they want to create with their products, and then think about how that product can help to achieve that. Many times, it's easy for people to fall victim to the reverse way of thinking. They think about the technology first, and then they try to figure out what they want to do with it. So, why do I share this? Well, even though LED displays organically create experiences in the spaces they're in, it's still important to keep in mind that it isn't always going to be sustainable. Like all things new, the newness is going to wear off or fade away. So you need to have a content strategy that is evergreen and keeps people engaged with something that's essential. And this shouldn't be taken lightly. As you are all aware, LED displays today can come in many shapes or sizes and are oftentimes the focal point of the space they're in. Therefore, it is imperative to put as much thought into your content strategy as you do the technology. How can you use the unique structure of the display and the physical space it is in to create an emotional response with your viewers? So let's start by talking a little bit more about this first word, invite. We all know how important a first impression is. When employees or visitors enter a space, it is important to ensure that your content is sending the right message or creating the right mood. I absolutely love this display and the way they are using their content. This is at the Minnesota State Fair here in the Midwest. It was designed to replicate an ear of corn. Look at how simplistic and beautiful the structure on the content is. During the day, it attracts people. People want to be drawn or invited into the space to get a closer look, to take pictures. At night, they turn it on. It gets illuminated and the area becomes even more fun. So in turn, it has the same effect. So simple, yet so effective. Companies rely on their reputation to generate business. Good content can help to immediately engage with guests, clients, partners, employees, or consumers visiting that space. It can set the tone for the day, deliver powerful messages with bold graphics, and create unique experiences for visitors. This is the Fashion Show Mall in Las Vegas, Nevada. They do all of this incredibly well. Look at the content on these displays. It is absolutely stunning. Think about how appealing it is at this scale. Now imagine if you were walking down the strip and saw this in person. You would surely be intrigued as to what they have to offer inside and around their venue. The first impression they are making with the unique design of the displays and the content is not an accident. It is truly a perfectly executed strategy. Next, I want to talk about how a single picture can convey an idea that would take several sentences if you had to describe it in words. Also, images make sense to everybody, despite cultural, geographical, ethnic, or language differences among people. I mean, can anyone argue with this? If you can tell me that you can look at those Krispy Kreme donuts on this display and not want one, more kudos to you. This is, again, an example of something that is so simple yet so effective. Now I wanted to share a couple photos from the MercedesBenz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. What I want to highlight here are a couple of things. Similar to what we saw before, one, it's a unique set of displays. And two, I want to talk a little bit more about how they are being used. During the previous slides, we talked about the importance of first impressions and the power of imagery. What they have done in this stadium with technology and content pulls both of those things together seamlessly. When you look at the image on the top, you can see in the top right, there is a halo display. This is a full 360 LED ribbon. I shouldn't say ribbon because it is much, much larger than that. It is a huge display and it dominates the building and is incredibly impressive. In the bottom image, you can see another display. It's a triangle display that they call their feather wall. This display is positioned at the front entrance of the stadium so that as you enter, it is the first thing that you see. Then, as soon as you turn your head to the right, you see the stadium and the halo that is hovering above the field. I am lucky enough to have had the opportunity to visit this particular stadium and was incredibly impressed with how well they tie the displays and content together to create such a mesmerizing experience. You just can't help but look around and say, wow. The other thing that is so impressive about what they're doing is how well they can change the mood and the feel of the space based on this content. Here you can see they're promoting a brand. They've got the car, they've got the content, and everything is flowing seamlessly together. But the cool thing is that as soon as it's game day, whether it's an American football game or a soccer game, it doesn't matter. These displays change, and the mood that they create is incredible. The key to what they're doing is that they're using their content to invite you to this event, to invite you into the space. They are making you feel the energy of what you are about to experience before you even experience it. Now we're going to talk about engage. So you have probably heard the phrase, content is king. I used to believe this to be true, but then I came upon an article that stated, conversation is king. Content is just something that you talk about. All of these images depict that very well. In each of these spaces, you're going to be drawn to look in and admire this content. But it's also going to make you want to talk to somebody about it. What does it mean? How was it created? How did it make you feel? And so on. It is going to leave a lasting impression with you, not only what you saw, but where you were when you saw it. So most of the time when we think about digital content, we think we need to create content that has a specific message or call to action. Although this is necessary in some situations, it isn't necessary in all. This is a great example. You are seeing the same display in both photos. It is a full LED wall at the entrance of the Chicago Cubs baseball team headquarters. They wanted to create a way to change the look and feel of this space frequently. They wanted to be able to change the mood of the space for game days versus non-game days. They wanted to give people something to look at while waiting in the lobby. What I love about this installation is how they have turned a very large display into such a natural installation in the space based on their use of content. The subtle dimension they add to the graphics in each of these images is absolutely outstanding. It really makes it feel like they are physical objects rather than simply a 2D digital display. Something else to think about. If you truly want to spark a response or stir emotions with members of an audience, using visual communication is a guaranteed way to do so. An image has a higher chance of evoking an emotional response in a person than a set of words written or spoken. So I don't know about all of you, but there are only a couple places that I truly crave an ice cold Coca-Cola. The first place is at my dad's house. I'm not exactly sure how to justify or explain this, but the Coca-Colas in his fridge taste far better than any I have tasted anywhere else. Maybe it's a magic fridge, not sure. The second place is at a movie theater. This one I think I can explain though. I think the reason that they are so appealing and they taste so good at a movie theater is due to the ads like you see here. There is something about that huge image of an ice cold soda being poured into a glass of ice with the little bubbles and the popping sounds that they make. It draws you in every time and it makes you thirsty. And then when you take that first drink, it just tastes so good. It is all a sensory thing. They are showing you something, and when you have the opportunity to experience it, it all comes together. And I'm convinced that if they just put the words on the screen, go have a Coca-Cola, there's no way it would have the same effect. I wouldn't go to the concession stand and I wouldn't have that same feeling when I consumed that drink. So imagery is very powerful. It connects, it sparks response. It makes people think and do things, which is huge. So another way to really engage an audience is by orchestrating a sequence of events that is a complete sensory experience. This video is from the University of Georgia. They were looking for a way to improve their pregame production. They had a goal. They wanted to get fans in the stadium sooner, and they wanted to get them on their feet and excited and start to create one of those home field advantages that you can't get anywhere else. They wanted to do something that would create a moment prior to each game that gave fans and athletes alike a goosebumps type feeling. As you can see here, they did it, and they did it really well. What you saw was just a short clip, but I think it paints a really great picture of how you can use both displays, lighting, audio, and content to create something truly remarkable and one of a kind. This is another really unique installation. When we think about engagement, this display and the content is 100% focused on the team. Up to this point, a lot of what we've been talking about is how do you invite and engage your fans or your audience, your spectators into your brand or the event. What makes this one unique is that it is, again, 100% about the team. This is a player tunnel at the University of Alabama. This tunnel is strategically located between the team's locker room and the field. We'll play that one again. So when the team leaves their locker room, they have to pass through this tunnel as they head towards the field. The content and atmosphere that has been created with this display is absolutely incredible. Coaches generally give a pretty good motivational speech, and the player or the teams usually have a pretty good set of rituals that they go through to get in the right mindset and get excited before an event. But can you imagine what it must feel like to walk or run through this tunnel, almost a secret space, before they get out underneath the lights, get in front of the fans, the colors, the lights, the sounds? Again, it's just another great example of how important what we see and how that makes us feel really is. Inform. The truth is that we live in a competitive world. All companies want to stand out. Therefore, brand awareness is key. The most natural way an LED display can improve brand awareness is by allowing consumers to feel engaged at a visual level. People are more likely to take notice, remember, and respond to dynamic video content compared to something that's just a static ad. The content should really reflect the company's goals, values, and purpose. It should use the movement of text and imagery to inform, inspire, and possibly even encourage consumers to purchase something. This is a great example of how a third-party advertising space can do just this. This is located in Hollywood, California, on one of the busiest interstates in the country. Not only is the display unique, but the way they are creating content that is artistic yet informative for their partners is what makes it so effective. The truth is, this could be a static display. They could be very simple with the content they're putting on it. But we all know that it's going to become wallpaper, especially in Hollywood. There's so much going on. People are so busy and they're moving quickly. It is important that when you have a display system like this that is so unique and has such a presence, that you truly take advantage of it. And I think what you're seeing here showcases just how they're doing that. Seeing is believing. An image, a video, or a graph is not just a way to get the attention of your audience, but it's also a way to win their trust. A couple of catchy sentences about your brand will get your target market to look your way, but a nice image or an interesting video of your product and service will guarantee you a positive response and can help you earn their trust. Images can help reinforce the credibility of what it's representing, the idea, the product, the service, etc. Some information is always better conveyed in a picture than verbally explained. If we think about sports more specifically, one of the things that I've really come to learn and appreciate over the years is the importance of creating connections between players and fans. Sports fans have a desire to know and to be as close to their favorite players as they can be. As I'm sure you all know, with social media today, that's probably easier than it's ever been before. You can follow your favorite fans, you can follow the team, you can really start to develop a sense of who they are and what they're about just through that daily interaction on social media. But we have such a unique opportunity with the work that we do in venue with the content and displays to amplify that or even take that further. The behind the scenes footage and access that production teams have is completely unique. And when you can use that access and develop content that showcases your player, it really goes a long way. Think about American football players, for instance. They always wear helmets. Rarely do you see their face, and if you do, it's a long shot from the sideline. This is a small thing, but it goes a long way. People are intrigued who are under those helmets, who are under all of those pads. What do they look like? What kind of personality do they have? You can't see their eyes. You can't see their face under that mask. And so if you can use content in your LED displays to start to showcase that, if you can create features that, show their face and capture their personalities, people are going to be drawn to that. They're going to feel like they better know and understand that person or that player. And it's going to make them connected. It's going to make them more engaged with your team or your brand. There's so many unique and fun things that you can do with players at live sporting events today. Whether you have them on the screen and you're simply showing their headshot with some biographical information or maybe some stats, Or if you're putting them on the screen to help engage your fans, asking the fans to stand up and get loud, asking them what their favorite ice cream is or their favorite TV show. Again, what we do is very unique and exciting. We have the opportunity to let our fans get just a little bit closer to their favorite players, which goes a really long ways. When we can inform our fans, we can entertain them. And when we're entertaining them, we're getting them to engage and be more connected to our team and our brand, which is exactly what we're all trying to do. The other thing when it comes to sports that is probably one of the biggest and most important ways to keep fans informed is with data. Not only the essential data, but also advanced data. As we know, this is all around us today. Data and infographics and charts, we see them every day. In one way or another, they are being used to inform us or persuade us. The same is true when we're at sporting events. Fans come to these events and watch games and expect to be informed. They want to know what happened in the past, maybe previous week, maybe previous few minutes, but they want to know what happened if they missed something, or just to be reminded. They also want to know what's going to happen in the future. What do we think is going to happen? What happened before, and how is that going to impact what's going to happen? We also want to know any cool information that falls in between of that. What are some unique stats? What's some unique stories that we can tell? So the reason I wanted to share this slide was because I think sometimes it's taken for granted, but the content and the graphics and the way that we can inform our audiences around data really provides a unique opportunity to tell new and interesting stories about our events. So in summary, when companies want to create or give existing spaces a more modern look, rebrand it, create a productive space, or entertain audiences in new or different ways, this is how you do it. You think about the experience you want to create, and then you think about the technology and how that's going to help you get there. But again, you have to think about experiences first. All too often is it taken for granted how things look and how they make you feel and what they make you do. But that's really what I hope you take away from today's presentation. Technology is fantastic, but technology without a purpose is just technology. Thank you so much for your time today.